method calling. So a Java method is called according to its functionality, and it's called in any one of these two situations. The first one is when it completes all the statements, and then secondly, when it reaches a return statement. So in this example, we'll define a variable result with int data type. Its initial value is 0, and we call addNumber as our method with arguments of 10 and 20. Now, argument values are passed to the parameter. Arithmetic sum, that's the operation that's performed in the addNumber method, and the return value of the addNumber method is assigned to the variable result. And then we simply show the result value, 30, on the screen. Also, we can directly use the addNumber method in the print method instead of assigning a new variable, and the result remains the same. Types of methods. So we basically have two types of methods in Java. The first one is standard library methods, and the second one is user-defined methods. So Java, of course, has a library of predefined classes and methods organized into packages. Now, in order to use these methods, we'll import the packages and use them directly in our program. We will cover packages in the next few slides. But let me just give you a quick example right now. Remember the first Java program that we wrote together? We used the print method to write hello world on the screen. Well, the printed method is just an example of a standard library method. Then, of course, in addition to using Java predefined methods, we could always write our own methods. In order to write a method, first you decide what you need to do. Then you write the definition of the method by providing the return type, name of the method, and the parameters. For example, the addNumber method that we defined in the previous slide is an example of user-defined methods. Method return types. So every method in Java returns something, right? Either some value or nothing. If it returns a value, this value can be either primitive or non-primitive. The void keyword allows us to create methods which do not return a value. These methods perform a set of tasks without a return value. So when a method does not return a value, it's indicated by the keyword void before the name of the method. If you declare a method with primitive types, your return type method must be the same, right? So primitive methods return char, byte, short, int, long, boolean, float, and double types. If you declare a method with non-primitive types, your return type of method must be the same, right? Makes sense. Non-primitive methods return reference data types such as object of class, string, stuff like that. So why don't we do some examples with methods? In the exercise project, right-click on the source folder and select New Class. Specify the package name as method and the class name as method example, and then select the checkbox for main method. Now, outside the main method, let's declare a static void method, show with two int parameters, num1 and num2. And then we add the print method to display these numbers. So let's add a comment to the void method, show, and our comment is displays numbers. And now let's declare another static int method, add, with two int parameters, num1 and num2. And what does it return? It returns the sum of two numbers. All right, so in the method, we declare a variable sum with int type. Now its initial value is 0. And then we assign num1 plus num2 as an expression to the variable sum. And we return the variable sum. So now let's add a comment to the int method, add. And our comment is returns the sum of two numbers. So now let's declare another static int method, min, with two int parameters, num1 and num2, and it returns the minimum of two numbers. Now in the method, we'll declare a variable, min, with int type. And if number 1 is greater than number 2, then we assign num2 to variable min, else we assign num1 to variable min. And then we return the variable min. So now let's add a comment to the int method min, and our comment is returns the minimum of two numbers. Okay, so now let's call these methods from the main method. So our main method is static. So what does that mean? We have to declare the other methods as static in order to use it in the main method. So first, we need to import the scanner class for getting input from the user. And we choose import scanner class in java.util package in order to import the scanner class. And then we show a message to enter two numbers by using the print method. So let's declare two variables that are named number 1 and number 2, and then assign the next int methods of the scanner class to these variables. Now first, we'll call the void method show. We pass number 1 and number 2 as a parameter to this method. Now there's no need to assign the void method to a variable because the void method returns nothing. So secondly, we call the int method add. We pass number 1 and number 2 as a parameter to this method. Then we assign the add method to the new variable a with the int type. And for the last one, we will call another int method, min. We pass number 1 and number 2 as the parameter to this method. And we assign the min method to the new variable b with int type. So now let's write the print methods. In the first print method, we display sum of numbers. And in the second print method, we display the minimum number. Okay, so let's run the code. And we enter 8 and 12. First, the void method show is called and it prints, you entered 8 and 12. Perfect. Then the int method add is called, and it prints the sum of numbers is 20. And the last one, another int method, min is called, and it prints the minimum number is 8. So there you go. It works, huh? Method overloading. When a class has two or more methods by the same name but different parameters, it's known as method overloading. So in this example, you will see 3 methods. These methods have the same name but different parameters. Now, if we call these methods by passing an argument value, the compiler knows which method to call on the grounds of the method input. So let me show you an example of method overloading. So in the exercise project, right-click on the method package and select New Class. Specify the class name as Method Overloading, and then select the checkbox for the main method. Outside the main method, let's declare a static int method add with 2 int parameters, x and y. And this method returns x plus y. Okay, so let's declare a static int method add with the same name but 3 int parameters, x, y, and z. So this method returns x plus y plus z. Now let's declare a static double method add with the same name but 2 double parameters, x and y. This method returns x plus y. These 3 methods have the same name but different parameters. So let's call these methods from the main method. Let's see what happens. So we can directly call these methods in the print method. So in the first print method, we call the add method with the parameters of 10 and 20 to display the sum of 2 int numbers. And the second print method, we'll call the add method with the parameters 10, 20, and 30 to display the sum of the 3 int numbers. And in the last print method, we'll call the add method with parameters 4.6 and 8.4 to display the sum of 2 double numbers. Okay, so let's run the code. Now, first, the int method add is called with 2 parameters, and it prints the sum of 2 numbers is 30, right? Then the int method add is called with 3 parameters, and it prints the sum of 3 numbers is 60. And the last, the double method add, is called and it prints the sum of 2 double numbers is 13.0. And yes, it is time for our third project. Now in this project, we will calculate the number of given numbers by using POW as a method of the math class. So we will learn how to implement the POW method. So first, let's create a new Java project and specify the project name. Let's call it exponential number. Now, don't bother with changing the other options. Just click the Next button. And in this section, uncheck the Create Module Info.java file, and then press the Finish button. So in this project, just right-click on the source folder and select New and Class. Specify the package name as exponential and class name as exponential number, and then select the checkbox to add it to the main method. Outside the main method, let's declare a static int method, pow, with two int parameters, num and power. So in the method, we will use the pow method of the math class. And that way, the pow method returns the value of the first argument raised to the power of the second argument. So the pow method is a standard library method, and it's defined in the math class. Now, if we try to return the pow method of the math class to the int method, we get a type mismatch error because the pow method of the math class returns a double value. So in order to solve this problem, we will choose cast to int as our option to add code. Okay, so the problem is solved. Now let's call this method from the main method. First, we will need to import the scanner class for getting input from the user. And then we choose the import scanner class in java.util package to import the scanner class. And look at this, we see a message to enter an integer-based number by using the print method. So let's declare a variable base and assign nextInt as a method of the scanner class to this variable. Now we get a message to enter an exponent by using the print method, so let's declare a variable exponent and assign the nextInt method of the scanner class to this variable. Now we can start to write the for loop. So in for loop, we declare the variable I and initialize it. So its initial value is 0. Our test condition is I less than or equal to exponent, and then it increments by 1. Now we use the print method to display numbers and their powers. So we call the int method pow. We pass the number and exponent as a parameter to this method. And then finally, let's close the scanner object by using the close method. Okay, so now let's run the code. So we enter 6 for the base number and enter 5 for the exponent. And look at the results in the console. On each for iteration, we call the pow method to calculate the powers of a given base number. So let's have a look. 6 to the power of 0 is 1. 6 to the power of 1 is 6. 6 to the power of 2 is 36. 6 to the power of 3 is 216. 6 to the power of 4 is 1296. 6 to the power of 5 is 7,776. I was trying to do this in my mind faster than this, but you can see why. We'll do it like this from now on. And you can always test other alternate values for understanding to your heart's content. But if you got it good, let's move on to the next section.